Councilman Becker.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, we have to turn the TV down.
Andy. Test. Councilman Hartwick. Here. Councilman Housley.
Here.
President Scheer.
Here. And we will get the echo figured out on our Zoom meeting. The next thing will be agenda item 3, public hearings. This evening, we have none, I'm sorry, public, agenda item 4, public comment. As a reminder, the city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for the record when called upon. That would be name, address, subject matter, and contact information. No action will be taken on any public comments unless the item is also elsewhere on the agenda. We have nobody signed up for in person, but we will do a call for anybody who would be on Zoom. This will be first call for public comment. This will be a second call for public comment. This will be a third and final call for public comment. Seeing none, we will move right along. Agenda item number 5, the consent agenda. As a reminder, the consent agenda outlined is presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the council president.
I would move to approve the consent agenda as listed, items 5A through 5F.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 6, petitions, requests, and communications. We have none this evening. Agenda item 7, resolutions and ordinances. 7A, the review and possible action relating to a resolution adopting the 2022 annual budget and setting the property tax levy for the city of Fort Atkinson.
Thank you. I do have just a couple slides to run through, and then we will. I will be recommending that the city council approve both resolutions that are on the agenda tonight under this section. So let's see. So just a couple of changes from the last iteration of the budget that was presented on November 2nd. Some blank pages and section titles were added. I completed section 1, which was the introduction, accomplishments, and goals. Also highlighting that we did apply for that $4.9 million neighborhood investment grant to support the base project. I also completed section 2, which is the budget summary and historic mill rate charts. When I received the levy request from the other taxing jurisdictions, I added some possible projects in TID 7 and 8 to pay to replace the holiday decorative lighting for streetlights and lamps in the downtown and along Madison Avenue. If that project does move forward, it would come back to the council for approval at that time. And then we do have a couple new resolutions. They contain the same information as the resolutions that the council is used to seeing in previous years. They are just set up a little differently, and so they will look a little different. This is the budget summary that it has not changed. I will just note that again, that percentage of levy increase over the 2021, the 2021 budget was 0.67% for the city's portion of the taxes here. So you've got two tables on this slide. The blue table is the city's mill rate per $1,000 of assessed value. from 2011 to 2021. Again, this did not change from the iteration from November 2nd. The city's mill rate is at $8.69 per thousand of value. The orange table, let's see if I can. Okay, the orange table there is the total mill rate per thousand of assessed value from 2011 to 2021 for all of the taxing jurisdictions. I will tell you that the 2021 number looks very steep, and that is because it does not include the school levy tax credit. So the years 2011 through 2020 include that. 2021 does not include that because we do not know that number yet. It has historically been between $1.65 and $1.90 per thousand of assessed value, and it will be included on the tax bills when they go out in December. Okay, where am I here? Okay, so this next table shows the mill rate breakdown per thousand of assessed value for the last 3 years, where your tax dollars go. And again, the school levy tax credit is not included in this data. You can see the percentage increases in the requested levy from Jefferson County was 13%. MATC was a decrease of less than 1%. City of Fort Atkinson 0.61%, so less than a 1% increase. And the Fort Atkinson School District was right around 7%. So the increase is partially due to the budgets, the requested levies from these taxing jurisdictions. It's also partially to do with our tax increment districts, because as the value of those TIDs increase, the increment increases the amount of money that we put into those districts, those funds increase. The next chart shows the mill rate as a percentage by taxing jurisdiction. So you can see that the Fort Atkinson School District is about 47.5% of the total mill rate. Jefferson County is at about 17%. The city is at about 32%, and MATC is about 3.5%. The next table, the next chart here shows the requested levy for 2021, and I brought this out just to show the impact of the tax increment districts. So the amounts in blue, that's the school district of Fort Atkinson. That's the amount that they requested for their levy. That's the amount that they need to operate their district from within the city of Fort Atkinson for 2022. And that is $11.3 million. So then I have to run that through a couple calculations to come up with the TID increment, and then that gets added to it. So you can see it's about $1.5 million that goes into our 3 tax increment districts in 2020, for the 2021 tax bill that will be collected in 2022. Okay. So we now have the 2020 and 2021 estimated city tax bill comparison at various assessed values. So you can see this is, again, just the city's portion of the tax bill. And you on the left-hand side, you have 3 different assessed property values. We have the 2020 mill rate and the 2020 portion of the tax bill, the 2021 estimated city mill rate, and then the 2021 estimated portion of the tax bill, and the difference per month. So at a home valued at $275,000, the difference between the city's portion of the tax bill between 2020 and 2021 is approximately $16.12 or $1.34 per month. So a very lean increase on the city side. This the blue chart shows the total tax bill comparison at the same assessed property values. So at that $275,000 value, the increase is $390.96 or $32.58 per month. And this does not include the school levy tax credit. I did create one more table to show what an estimated school levy tax credit might look like. So I chose $1.90 based on historic information. So at a $1.90 per thousand with the school levy tax credit, you for that home valued at $275,000, the estimated difference for the year would be $327.31 or $27.28 per month. So as you can see, the taxes will go up in the city. However, the only portion that the city council controls is the city's portion. And you saw the very low increase on that table, which was on the previous slide. So the action I'm going to request tonight is that the city council review and take action to adopt the resolution adopting the 2022 annual budget and setting the property tax levy for the city of Fort Atkinson. I'm also requesting that the council review and take action to adopt the resolution confirming the total tax levy for all taxing jurisdictions in the city of Fort Atkinson and determining the mill rate. Note that, again, we do not have the school levy tax credit at this time. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions from the council.
I think I have exhausted my question quota when it comes to this budget, but just more some feedback that I wanted to offer. I am the one council member who was going through this process for the first time. Everybody else has at least been through this once. So I was pretty blown away by how extensive of a process this is and how much time and energy our city leadership and our city department heads put into this process. I think it's important for the community to know that and to understand that and to recognize the city puts a lot of time and effort into their due diligence of making sure they are utilizing the tax dollars as best and effectively as they can. Now that isn't to say there aren't things to still question and things to look at. And I did that. I know other council members did as well, questioned some things and concerns we had about contracted work or borrowing or our TID districts. And I thank the team for taking a tremendous amount of time out of their schedule to answer those questions and to provide that clarification. On the other side of that, I was a little disheartened, I think, by the lack of community member input and the lack of community member questions. And in that, I would strongly advise anyone who has concerns about how the city is spending money to look at this document. In addition to looking at the accomplishments of the departments that were included and the 2022 goals that were included, I think that helps provide a pretty clear picture where each of the departments is heading and where the city is heading overall. So in general, the fact that the city is going to be providing basically the same level of service with a very, very minimal tax increase, I think is something we should be proud of and be relatively happy about. I certainly understand any tax increase for a lot of our families is still a very tough thing to take. But I just think the last thing I wanted to mention in regards to that I certainly got a better understanding about during this process is recognizing that although the city distributes your tax bills and collects all of the tax money, as Rebecca just clearly laid out, the full increase you are seeing is not coming solely from the city and is not being kept solely by the city. So I encourage people to remember that when you potentially come in to pay your tax bills or have questions about your tax bills. The information is there. There is not a lack of transparency about where these funds are being utilized and how. So I certainly encourage anybody who would have questions after this to review that document or certainly reach out to any of us. But I was very impressed by the extensiveness and thoroughness of the process.
I'll echo that in some regard, having gone through this process a few more times, but I'm continually amazed at how much we get accomplished as a city and at very, very minimal increases. 0.67 of 1% is not a huge increase by any means, but when you look at everything that we've gone through in our capital improvements process, as well as the projects laid out for this year, it's extremely impressive how good we are at stretching a dollar and making sure we continue to provide the best services and infrastructure for everyone within our community. So
I have a question. Is the revised budget document now up on the city's website?
It is.
Terrific. Yeah, and I just want to echo my colleagues. I always appreciate all the work, the time, the effort that goes into this. I will mention we got an email from the city manager a few days ago. I think it was at 11:20 p.m., which tells me you had been putting in a very lengthy evening working on the budget and everything related to it. And I know everybody does appreciate all the hard work that you as well as all the city staff put in. I would also like to say that I appreciate some of the revisions that were made this year. And since it is now up on the city website, members of the public can check it out. And maybe if you looked at it in the past and found it to be a little bit dry or a little bit difficult to understand, this year's document is quite a bit more readable. It actually tells the story of what the city departments are trying to do. And I would encourage members of the public to even just take a look quick and skim through it and appreciate all the efforts that's put into keep the city running and do a lot of things that many of us take for granted on a day-to-day basis. So thank you.
if there's no other comments or questions, we'd be entertaining a motion.
I would move to adopt the resolution adopting the 2022 annual budget and setting the property tax levy for the city of Fort Atkinson, Jefferson County, Wisconsin.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This will be a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Hartlick,
Aye.
sorry, Councilman Housley,
Aye.
President Scheer.
Aye.
Thank you.
That motion carries. Takes us to 7B, the review and possible action relating to a resolution confirming the total tax levy for taxing jurisdictions in the city of Fort Atkinson and determining the mill rate. We did just go over.
Yep.
So we're just looking for an official action on that.
I move to adopt the resolution confirming the total levy for taxing jurisdictions in the city of Fort Atkinson and determining the mill rate.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? This will be a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Hartwick,
Aye.
Councilman Housley,
Aye.
President Scheer.
Aye, that motion carries. Agenda item 8, reports of officers, boards, and committees. 8A, the city manager's report.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the kind words about the budget on behalf of the city staff. It was a new process this year. It took quite a bit of time, but it was definitely worth it. We finished with a pretty good work product there. So I'm very thankful to all of the staff who contributed to that creation of that document. A couple other things that have been on my plate. As I mentioned previously in the budget presentation, we did, upon council approval on November 2nd, we did apply for that Neighborhood Investment Fund grant from the Department of Administration for $4.9 million for the base project. We will potentially know by the end of the year if we receive that or not, but that will be certainly a cause to celebrate if we do receive that. Last week, the city hosted the participants in this year's Project Lead class on November 10th. I was able to speak to the group about my personal leadership journey, and the group actually decided on a project to replace light bulbs in some of the city's streetlights with LED bulbs. So we're excited about that project, and the group is planning to speak to the council about that project in December. So you'll learn more then. On November 12th, Michelle and I were fortunate enough to attend the Women's Leadership Seminar hosted by the Wisconsin City and County Managers Association in Fond du Lac. This was a great event and featured speakers and topics relating to leadership, negotiation, and government through a gender lens. So it was great to get out and learn some new strategies and meet up with some colleagues. And we continue to work with several of our consulting partners at Vandewall on some planning and zoning efforts, including the Banker Road request for proposals and the interactive zoning map. We're also working with Miller Communication relating to the possible public safety referendum. We have another meeting with them later this week. We're also continue to work with Ruckert and Milky relating to our 2022 water main and road construction project, and our partners at Baird relating to our 2022 borrowing. So now that the budget is put to bed, we will be pursuing its objectives. And that's all I have for you today.
Thank you. Agenda item 9, unfinished business. This evening we have none. Agenda item 10, new business. 10A, the review and possible action relating to the 2022 small animal collection contract with the Humane Society of Jefferson County.
Thank you. For many years, the city's contract with the Humane Society. They're responsible for serving our community with furnishing and maintaining the facility and adequate equipment for the housing, shelter care of dogs and cats that are either surrendered or unlawfully at large and captured and cared for by the Humane Society. Every year, the rate is calculated per capita. We did experience a hike in residents, but also based on the CPI. The shelter board had reviewed the CPI, which was approximately 5.4%, which, if you can imagine, would be quite a hike in the rate this year. They did collectively decide on a modest increase, which is 2.5%, based on an average increase of 1.25%. So we're very grateful that Humane Society is considerate of all municipalities in our budget. The census rate this year with our population, 12,458, and take that per capita, so it's $2.78 per resident. So the contract is just over $34,600. They do offer a discount if we pay it in one lump sum in January, which we take advantage of. With the discount, we'll be saving $519.50, which may not be a large amount, but certainly goes a long way with our community. Staff would ask that the council approve the signing of the contract for the 2022 Small Animal Collection Humane Society, the amount of $34,113.74. This would be for 2022. And I would be happy to answer any questions the council or the public may have.
No questions. I mean, when I looked at the budget, I mean, it's what, $113.74 over what was originally planned in there. So obviously, even with the increase, is still fairly in line with what the expectation of the expense was.
And I believe last year or the year prior, it actually went down, the rate did. So we're thankful that they did not apply the full CPI cost for us. Plus increase in population, high CPI, that would have been a pretty strong increase for us. So we're appreciative of that.
Is there any expectation that that difference is still coming in future years? Is that something you guys would
Future
plan
years,
for, or?
yeah, future years unexpected. So
Okay.
I guess we'll have to see, because right now CPI is still increasing, still climbing, I believe. So all we can do is wait.
I then move to approve the 2022 small animal collection contract with the Humane Society of Jefferson County.
Second,
We have a motion and a couple seconds. Could you please include the dollar amount in your motion?
Oh, yes. Do you want me, move to approve the 2022 small animal collection contract at the cost of $34,113.74 with the Humane Society of Jefferson County.
second,
We have a motion and still further more seconds. This will be a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
aye.
Councilman Hartwick,
Aye.
Councilman Housley, President Scheer.
Aye. That motion is approved. Agenda item 10B, the review and possible action relating to the purchase of 2 squad cars and additional equipment for the City of Fort Atkinson Police Department from the Capital Improvement Projects budget.
So now that we freshly approved the budget. In years past, we've always pre-ordered our squad cars. It'll take a few months to get them We pre-order them knowing that they will not arrive until the new year. We will not make any payments or expend any money until the new budget. There's a few reasons why this year is even more significant to order them. We've been told by Ford a few months back that it's going to be quite a while, usually 2 to 3 months, but now 4 to 6 months is going to be our wait. So knowing that we have a longer time frame to receive the new vehicles and then the time it takes to get them up and running, there's a pretty long delay. There's also on the horizon for a lot of the equipment that's going to go on the squad cars, an increase in price. That's going to happen December 1st is what we heard in the last 30 days. So ordering now and getting that equipment set, even though we won't purchase or attain any of it will save us money and keep us in line with it. The last reason why it's nice to get a quicker order and get ahead of the game is that we have other departments within the city that take our squad cars and we're done with them. And I know a few of those departments are in need of a new car. So I come before you today with a request to order our new squad cars and all the equipment and move forward with the entire process of all purchases and equipment that goes along with them in the new year. Within my quote process, I obtained 2 different quotes. One is from Ewald. They control the state bid for all squad cars for the state of Wisconsin. So they've already gone through an entire bid process to win that competitively with dealerships across the entire state. So we know that that's a good price. And then we go to a local price. We like to give local business a chance to look towards the same product. And that's what we did today with equipment. Ewald with the exact same squad car with all the same specs, everything. And when we went through that whole process, we found that we had prices that were kind of close, but not really close. And when you're going to order 2 of them, that doubles it. So in years past, we've looked past it because it's been really close. This year is a bigger separation. So I'm looking to get the okay to move ahead and order the squad cars and the equipment. And then in the new year when everything comes to just go ahead and do everything it needs to do to get both units on the road and active and then our hand-me-down cars and other purchases. All purchases in this entire project will not exceed our budget more than $88,000.
Do we ever see if Griffin can match that, or can they not get that low?
They've come very, very close a few times.
Yeah.
Within just like $100 or $200. Which when I see a quote like that, then I want to go with them.
Yeah.
Because I think the benefit, okay, just a little bit more, it's only that much, is good for our community. This amount is it's a little bit more this year, and they have different things and different costs. So a lot goes into determining what the cost. With Ewald, they have the state bid, so almost every agency is ordering the squads through them. So when you're selling in such bulk, then you don't have to have all those extra fees, I'm sure.
That's what I was gonna ask too. Did Griffin Ford know what the quote from the other company was? Like, did they have an opportunity to say, hey, let us see if we can get closer to that?
I can't give them a dollar amount.
Okay.
Because I'd be flirting with being unethical.
Sure, yes.
But I can let them know if they're close or not.
Okay.
Without telling them.
Sure.
So, I try to do what I can while being appropriate.
Yep.
Because I would rather a local business get the business.
Right.
The positive of the entire thing is it doesn't matter where we buy the car. We're going to be doing all of our service on our squads for any warranty work.
Oh, great.
And then some other stuff that our city garage can't do, they do the work for us. So
Okay.
there still is a benefit to them by buying cars or squad cars that fit with the dealership.
Okay.
I would move to approve the purchase of 2 squad cars and an additional equipment from Ewald Commercial Vehicle service for no more than $88,000.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? This will be a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Hartwick,
Aye.
Councilman Housley,
Aye.
President Scheer.
Aye, that motion carries.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Agenda item 10C, the review and possible action relating to the authorization of ARPA funds for training advanced emergency medical technicians in the Fort Atkinson Fire Department.
Okay, so the memo that I sent out pretty clearly lays out our request, but I'll review it just for anybody who may be watching that didn't get a chance to review it. So we started our EMS service in 2018. The first year that we operated, we ran about 45 calls. That number has now increased 100% to we're on pace to run over 100 calls this year. On about half of those calls, advanced life support is required. We are not currently licensed at the advanced life support level, so when we need that, we call for a mutual aid ambulance or a paramedic intercept primarily from Jefferson to provide that. Our proposal is to train current members who are currently EMT basics up to the EMT advanced level. I have 13 of them that have committed to taking the training. That will bring our EMS contingent up to 17 EMT advanced, 3 EMT basics, and 4 emergency medical responders, for a total of 24 of our members will then be certified at the EMTA or higher level. That's more than half of our department. There is some costs involved for this, including the class fees, books, uniforms, testing fees, and class supplies. Rather than paying them paid-on-call wages to attend the training, we have in the past used a stipend system so that once they complete the class successfully and pass the state certification test, we then provide them with a stipend of $2,000, which translates to about $8 an hour for the time that they are in training. That puts some ownership on them to successfully complete the training. And in the event that they don't, for whatever reason, there is some cost savings to the city. We still would be required to pay the class fee and some of the other expenses, but we would not then pay the stipend. The availability of the ARPA funds makes this a good time to do this, because this is a one-time expense. Certainly, it would be very difficult to budget $50,000 from a very austere fire department budget to provide this training as an upfront. So we thought that ARPA funding was a good opportunity to do that. It provides a better level of care for the citizens. It prevents a significant time delay when we have to call for a mutual aid ambulance or a paramedic intercept. An example, today we had 4 EMS calls that occurred within 7 minutes this morning. Ryan Brothers handled the first 2. We handled the third one. The fourth one, we sent some of our EMT basics, but because it was an advanced life support call for a significant uncontrolled bleed, we had to call for an intercept for that one. There is some cost advantage to the city by running this program, because currently when we call for a mutual aid ambulance or an intercept, a portion of the revenue for the transport goes to that responding agency. If we use a mutual aid ambulance, then they keep 100% of that revenue. If we use a paramedic intercept, they keep 50% of the revenue. It also providing service at the ALS level, although the money is not the driving factor. Providing EMS service at the ALS level more than doubles our reimbursement rate through Medicare, Medicaid, or most private insurance companies. So there is a payback on this, but certainly the reason that we're proposing this is not related strictly to revenue. That's the highlights. I guess I would be willing to answer questions if you have questions related to the memo that I sent out, or any other questions.
Chief, I just have two questions for you. Of that 13,750 that you noted in potential revenue, I mean, essentially this cost would be recouped in 3.5 years, but I'm just curious, are there other ongoing expenses that you would have to add to future operational budgets with having that many staff members now certified in ALS?
No, because the recertification is essentially the same for EMT Advanced or a EMT Basic. So that's really the only difference would be the recertification. And we're already completing those hours on an ongoing basis through our monthly training.
Okay, great, thank you. And
There
then
will
my
be-
only question, oops, sorry, go ahead.
There will be just a few additional supplies, but the initial purchase of those supplies is fairly minimal. And once we start using those advanced life support supplies, they're billed to the patient and replaced at no additional cost to the department.
Okay, great, thank you. And then my only other question was just about timing. What is, the length of taking this course or the length of getting that state certification?
Class is scheduled to start in January and will be done in a late May or early June. After that, the students will have to do a couple of ride-along shifts with an ALS provider. And we have that lined up to be done through Jefferson Fire and EMS. So they should all be completed by the 1st of August of next year.
Okay, thank you. Interrupt me if there are other questions. Otherwise, I move to authorize the use of ARPA funds for the training of advanced emergency medical technicians in the city of Fort Atkinson Fire Department. I will include at the cost of $49,980.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you for including that. Again, very fortunate that we have ARPA funds available that will help us get our emergency personnel up to this level. So this will be a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Hartwick.
Aye.
Councilman Housley.
Aye.
President Scheer.
Aye. That motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Chief. That takes us to agenda item 11, miscellaneous. This evening we have none. Agenda item 12, claims appropriations and contract payments. 12A is the review and possible action relating to the verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorization of payment.
I move to approve the list of verified claims and authorize payment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And for the last time tonight, can we get a roll call vote?
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Hartwick,
Aye.
Councilman Housley,
Aye.
President Scheer.
Aye, that motion carries. Takes us to agenda item 13, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
Give me that one to Mason so he
Yep. See you guys in person soon.
Bye, Mason.
I should be controlling this. Too, right?
He did. He's
Yes.
doing better though.
Have a good evening, everybody. Yeah.
No, yeah. I didn't know we had-
No, this is.